right now, there's not a lot going on in there.
Right.
But
you said you put
if
your
I
finger
pass
in,
my
you can
finger
see,
through,
yeah.
it's, oh, there it is.
Yep.
Lights are live, camera's live.
Exactly.
And we can use, for 4X, should be fine to just use the sample to focus. Oh, actually, and we don't want to use this because this has the goop in it. There are clean ones
anything here
right
until we
here.
actually put the liquid in. The target in.
Yep. So this is where your pipetting is important, to squeeze
before,
first
right.
and then draw. If you start blowing air bubbles in here, you're going to make your life miserable. Nobody. Oops, sorry, I just dumped that like on your camera.
Okay. Is there any amount that we put in?
Fill it up.
Okay.
Oh, actually, let's not because your sample will really settle. So let's just, yeah, that's fine. This is the lesson I learned in running your algae, is that it settles so quickly that I don't actually want to put in a large sample volume because it will clog more easily because of that settling nature. It's not going to matter as much with the 300 micron flow cell. It will matter with the 50 micron flow cell.
Okay.
I understand. Okay, so we're sitting in there, then the next thing would be logic is to start the pump.
Great. Sounds like a good plan.
And 2 milliliters per minute.
Yep, that should be fine.
Okay.
So let's start the pump and watch as it begins to aspirate the sample.
Yeah.
And when it reaches the flow cell, we'll go ahead and pause the pump. Because of the momentum, we can pause it now.
Got it.
It'll continue to draw the sample just a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So now we're going to want to start
Yeah,
focusing
focus
that.
Right.
So we'll move, make sure to remember not to
don't
squeeze.
touch there, right.
Move up here.
Yeah.
Luckily, you won't have this top section. This is for laser
Okay.
protection, so it makes
Okay.
it a lot easier to
Yeah.
do that manual focus. And when you get it to a point where you're finding those particles, you can start using the knobs to tighten it
Okay.
and lock that focal plane in place.
Is it showing? Okay, yeah.
So as we wander around in here, we also want to make sure that we find the flow cell.
Mm-hmm.
We'll find the flow cell by using these X and Y knobs
I
and
see
turning
something
those so you
right
can see the edge
right,
there.
exactly.
And so let's turn that X and Y knob a little bit and
Okay.
see if maybe we just need to adjust the flow cell, or if the flow cell needs to pass left or right of the camera's field of view, or if, you know, as we move it back and forth, we're just adjusting the focal plane, not the location of the flow cell in front of the camera.
Okay.
So. This is, by the way, the hardest part of using the FlowCam. The rest starts to fall into place.
Yeah. I think it's just a matter of repetition too. It's
Yeah, it's muscle memory, it's playing with it, it's finicky, and that's why we're changing over to a true autofocus system for the
Makes
next
sense.
generation model to account for that challenge. So good, we really have a hard edge on the flow cell. Now are we on the right side of the flow cell or on the left side of the flow cell?
I think we're on that side, because this will bring it out. Let's see if this comes over.
so typically, would you think they were going to use the 50
Yeah, there's the other
flow
side.
cell versus the right?
For
Okay.
There's the other side.
either the 50 or the 100, and so as we produce data, I was able to image your algae with 10x.
Okay.
And the advantage of that is you can run larger samples faster.
Uh-huh.
If your objective is truly just counting, then it's much simpler. You
Okay.
have less clogging, and it's easier to focus. So if you decide that the image quality is good enough at 10x,
Right.
then I would recommend going in that direction. If you really want high quality images, then you can use
Right.
20x.
Okay.
But if your
Very good.
goal is morphological,
Wouldn't
you
we?
would want 20x. If your goal is just counting,
Yeah.
then it's like, yeah, you know, it's okay if not all the images are in focus,
Okay.
because it's still counting them.
Mhm.
And you can build a library of those images that are not quite in focus, so that way you're making sure, yep, you know, it really is detecting those.
Now, this is interesting. I
Okay.
need to go further.
Here,
But
here,
anyway,
Bob.
bring a
Bob,
chair.
Bob,
My
here's the chair.
16 mil by 16 centimeter bottom line.
Bob, here's a
is
chair.
stretched all the way. What?